too. More and more there's struggles with behavior management in schools, and like, we had a teacher shot by her 6-year-old student, and they're blaming everybody but him. It's like, they're, and again, we want to understand childhood trauma. We want to understand uh we want to understand why kids make these decisions, but I think we're starting to turn a blind eye to the fact that kids need structure too.
Oh
Y-
yeah.
and I think we're focused on half the story with child development. And now, granted, it's kind of like, compared to where we were, where it was like, all you need is a butt whooping and that'll straighten out the kids. We've come so far from that,
Mm-hmm.
but we're just now learning about autism, learning about ADHD, learning about these things and their sources. But we're also forgetting that kids are smarter than we give them credit for. They
Mm-hmm.
crave structure, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the old adage: you need to be strong. If you aren't strong enough to stand up to me, then how can you stand up for me? And I think that happens. I think we're missing that in society, that we're we're almost coddling kids and lying to them, that and telling them that society and the world is going to change to your whims, and then they become adults and it's like, oh, I'm getting my teeth kicked in.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I'll tell you that right now. It's the world is a wild place, right? And so, and they do need structure, and they do crave structure because I think from having raised a child that structure helps their mental health be in a safe place.
Yes.
It helps them know there are boundaries, there are rules, right? And there are things that my parent or parents put into place to keep me safe,
Hmm.
and to keep me going. Like for me, my son went to bed at 7 o'clock every night until he was in ninth grade. And the reason for that is because he was the type of person that needed so much sleep.
Hmm.
So much. If you did not have him in bed by that time, he was like just getting erratic, and B, it would be like either the next day he would get up at the crack of dawn, because he would wake up at like 5 or 6 in the morning
Hmm.
forever, right? He did this forever. He's been
Yeah.
doing this. He still does this now. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah.
18 and he still gets up at like the crack of dawn. Last summer, he had a job landscaping that he had to be at for 6 a.m. and it was no problem, because he's been the kind of person that's always gotten up in the morning. So either he would get up same time in the morning and then be a nightmare the next day
Yeah.
because he's tired, or he would end up like oversleeping and then we'd have problems with whatever. So it was like, no, he had to have that structure. And he actually like got to a point where he just didn't even mind. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he wanted to go.
There's no protesting. Yeah.
Yeah, when he was like 13 years old, he was just like, all right, I'm going to bed. Like, you know what I mean? And then finally, like in high school, it was like, okay, like you can try to like figure some things out.
Well,
Uh,
sleep is so important though, especially self-esteem.
yeah.
If you're already entering like high school, or if whatever it is, or wherever, just in society, if you're on top of that grumpy and there's no Starbucks around, you're definitely gonna have a bad day.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's like it's small stuff like that that you don't realize like maybe makes
Hmm.
a huge difference, but it does. I mean, and again, it's like when you sleep well, you feel better. Like your mental health is in a better space. You know what I mean? Like you're just like more clear-headed, and you want to enjoy the things that you're doing versus like just complaining about how you're tired.
It's like, I'm tired, mom. A
Yeah.
lot of, well, I see a lot of kids today though, like there's, and I feel for the parents, because there's not always really like the parents' fault. It's the parents' responsibility, but not their fault sometimes, because we're in a society where a lot of situations, whether they're single parent or they're both parents are working, or there's all kinds of stuff going on. And I've had kids where they'll go to bed but they're on their iPad, or they're playing around till like 2, 3 in the morning, sometimes 4 in the morning, and then they're falling asleep in my class, and it's like, what do you do? It's like, no, it's like you're killing yourself, and their self-esteem and everything is just shattered as well, in addition to just not learning, because
Yeah,
you
I mean,
can't
you know what you do? You take the cords and all the things out of the room.
yes,
I
exactly, shut
I
off the Wi-Fi.
not kidding. We got to a point where we were taking when he was getting older, and then it was like, in that mid period. I think I want to say probably about like 10 to 12. There was like the rough time where it was just like he would at one point he had an extra cord for his computer that I didn't know about.
Oh,
And then I finally found out about that. It's like, so it's like you just as a parent, you have to be on them. You have to keep putting it into place, and you have to be real with them, like of like, look, I'm doing this so that you are in a good spot. Like, do you understand that? If it's like every time it's like, wow, if you loved me, you wouldn't be like if I loved you, I would do the things that make sense for you to have and give you the structure so that you can operate as a normal human being and not be frustrated with everything. You know what I mean? And it's like
yeah.
the more and more you say that to kids, the more and more they get it. I can't tell you how many times my son comes to me and tells me, just how grateful he is for me
Oh,
as a
that's cool.
parent, and like how I'm the best mom like he could have ever had, and every single card he ever writes to me, it's all the same stuff. And it's like, look, was I a little tough? Like, yeah, in
Mhm.
some ways, right? But I also wasn't the person that had like a million rules either. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't. It was like, look, don't lie to me.
Yeah.
Don't lose my trust, right? Like, do what you
Mhm.
say you're going to do and follow these couple things. And maybe these couple things feel that way to you because you're a kid, but it's like, but they're all there for your safety and for your structure and for you to be in a good spot mentally.
How important is that to explain to your kids not just what the rules are, but why the rules exist?
I personally think it's probably one of the most important things you can
Yeah.
do. I don't know if you've ever read that book Start with the Why by Simon Sinek.
Our administrators have, because we've had extensive training on finding our whys and
Yes.
teaching. So yeah.
Okay. So, that was something that I read in the corporate educational world, and I, did trainings and different things on that. We actually used like the golden circle of like, to explain how and write and how and why to write content and how and why to train people and teach people.
I'm sorry, the comedy writer, when you said the golden circle, the comedy writer just got a bunch of jokes. I won't, not appropriate for this podcast.
Yeah, you can always talk about that in our space. Um, so yeah, so
You're saying the
the
golden circle. Go on.
yeah, so that is like, we like use that for lots of different things. And when you look at everything, when you look at, I don't care what it is, when you look at everything,
Mhm.
understanding and knowing the why is what gets the buy-in from somebody.
Yeah.
So if you can explain the why to your children, if you can explain the why to your audience, if you can explain the why to your employees, if you can explain the why to your partner, if you can explain the why, to in any given circumstance,
Yeah.
it's going to help you get buy-in. And buy-in is what you need in order to get anything effectively done. So when it comes to kids, like they need to know those things. And I think that is an area where, I'm no parenting expert. Again, take everything I say with a grain of salt because I'm just one weirdo lady, in America somewhere. But it's like, but I do think, just from talking to other parents and seeing things that have happened, even with my own siblings and whatnot, um, I do think it's an area of opportunity that a lot of people don't give time to because they feel like it's like, why do you need to know? I mean, even us as kids, it's just like you'd be like, but why? And your
Yeah.
parent was always like, because I said so,
Oh, yes. Those
right?
horrible
And
words.
I hated that. I hated like, no, I actually want to know the why. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and that's just the way that my brain works. So I always was I always was explaining those things to my son as he was like growing up because I wanted him to know why it was. And then I'd be like, "Do you understand what I'm saying? Tell me, help me understand like what you're hearing from that."
Yeah.
And so it's like, and then he would tell me, and sometimes we'd have to be like, "Okay, but do you see like, and then
Yeah.
sometimes he would understand. And so it's like, but that piece of that is so important because it truly is. It's like it's how you get anybody to believe in your mission is by
Yeah.
explaining the why to them.
Catch new episodes of Mental Health Mondays every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Start your week off with a smile and some inspiration.